Okay. I am trying to ramp up my efforts more every day. I haven't been feeling well lately. I made a little video last night just to start where I talked about seasonal affective disorder. I'm taking a minute to recuperate while I still can, as it feels right. I'm sort of regrouping from a lot of nothing. It feels like, I don't mean nothing, just, I guess we all probably know what it feels like to fall. Most of us knows what it feels like to fall down a little bit. It's the thing like nobody sees. It winds up getting performed, and I think that's, and then we're all looking at each other to find these social cues. But that's not what I'm here to do, and I'm a minute in, so I want my videos to be interesting and not just performed pain. So I wrote this, and I'm going to read it because that's what I can do right now. This morning, I was remembering something about scaffolding. When the argument became clear again in its utter simplicity, a checkmate becoming clear, and again the warm feeling of joy spreading across my chest as I remembered the final node, the crux of the matter that brought me courage. A three-dimensional concept built in my mind within the tiny star seed of hope, containing the entirety of universes in a grain of sand, and handing that sand to Sebastian when the princess sat at that crux. I hope the movie reference is clear here. As I sit here with waves, the ocean spreading across my shoulders, I see where the scaffolding began, probably again. In that moment where the two energies, and then they trail off. And then I begin again. And there I am again in a field, in the hot dampness and the dark, regretting how the heavy flashlight I found rendered me blind earlier. Someone silent was beside me, a presence. Careful not to trip, I used the silver light of the moon, peeking in and out behind the clouds. I sat down in the middle of all that vastness and stared at the sky until the clouds vanished, and I imagined worlds far, far away from this one. ... And so my favorite Doctor Who episode was Pond getting married and remembering her Raggedy Man from childhood. And for me, that was a big consciousness. So big I hid under the bed, feeling ashamed of what I had done to the spot in the middle of my forehead and all it represented to me, not in words, in feeling. It was a house where I sat under a tree, smelling the lily of the valleys, wondering what sounds their tiny white bells made, what that must sound like to the fae. Once the matriarch of the couple pulled me away from my favorite spot, reminding me that there were plenty of other places to play. I had wanted to sit because of what had happened that day, and so dejectedly, I went inside. Of course, instead of, doing, where my favorite things to play with were in an immaculate room full of wood and smells, My favorite things were the Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls. I imagined what it would be like to have a friend, like in my T. Repskin books. But then I had heard a sound, and as swiftly as my attention had shifted to dominoes, I ran, paused, snuck to a wooden bed I had hid under, remembering the blemish in the middle of my forehead I had put there myself. His feet appeared next to me on the ground as I held my breath. It had been a strange day. I was dragged down the hallway, having had angered my father. I was at first outraged that my dad was insisting I choose a pink or blue zipper hoodie, and I was incensed that he hadn't found a purple one. Instead was giving me an impossible choice. I touched my still sore and tender scalp, burning but not bleeding. A face appeared, leaning to look at me, and then talked me out of it, hot shame spreading across my face. I would have to answer for what I had done. To myself. I remember somehow I was looking at myself on his lap and being there, feeling on fire, as fire in my scalp and face and the wound I had rubbed raw, as if to erase it. A soft voice asked, "Why did you do this?" Then my memory had fallen to pieces quietly in that moment. I turned to look at him. How can I remember the flowers but not his face? I know he touched me with his fingers. Nothing special, he just touched me in the middle of my forehead. Touched my wound and said, "Now go play." I slid down his lap and ran to the bathroom where I could see in the mirror. The skin where he touched me was perfect and unblemished. So that is installment 1 of Who Knows, of super weird but true supernatural things that really happened to me, I swear, part 1.